Hello and welcome to Mouse in the Mitten Trivia Pod, a podcast where you can test your Disney trivia knowledge over a variety of topics. My name's Court and I will be your host. Our game will consist of 5 rounds of 6 questions, covering everything from your basic Disney knowledge to some little unknown facts. Each question is worth 1 point unless otherwise noted. Make sure at the end of this you let us know what your score is on social media at Mouse in the Mitten on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Facebook, and as well as YouTube. Make sure if you're on YouTube that you comment your score, that you subscribe, and as well as click that notification button. That way you know when these videos come out every single Thursday. And hey, if you want your Disney vacation to go from good to great, let me know. Would love to help you get everything set up. Would love to make it the best vacation you possibly can. Feel free to email me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. Would love to get you set up. Well, hey, we are here for some fun and for some trivia. So let's get started with round 1. And round 1 is titled Even Stevens. This is a Disney Channel original show that is very pivotal to me. I love the show. I loved the movie. I loved the characters. I loved everything about it. So we're going to talk about the Even Stevens show. We're going to talk about some of the characters, and we're going to talk about a show that, in my personal opinion, should have lasted a little bit longer. We'll talk about that a little bit in this round. But let's get started with question number 1. Who played Louis Stevens in Even Stevens? Question number 2. How many seasons was Even Stevens on the Disney Channel? Question number 3. What was the name of the Stevens neighbor who would come over from time to time? Question number 4. What were the names of Louis Stevens' best friends? Question number 5. What Glee actress, known for portraying Santana Lopez, appeared in one episode in season 3? And question number 6. In season 1, what comedian did Louis Stevens have an album of in his room? All right, I'm going to play some music for you and then come on back and we'll get you some answers. All right, let's get you some answers here on Even Stevens. So question number 1. Who played Louis Stevens in Even Stevens? That would be, of course, Shia LaBeouf. Now, he had some small roles before this show started, but this kind of catapulted Shia LaBeouf into the stardom and allowed him to kind of take some bigger roles, take some bigger risks, and continue to be a bigger name than what he is currently. Question number 2. How many seasons was Even Stevens on the Disney Channel? Well, that would be 3 seasons. Now, there was a thing back then, especially when Even Stevens was out, where Disney Channel only wanted to do shows for 3 seasons. You get 3 seasons, you get a Disney Channel original movie, we never hear from you again. And it was kind of weird because at the time, Even Stevens was the number 1 Disney Channel original show in terms of ratings on the Disney Channel. So it's kind of weird that they just yep, we got to stick with it no matter what. It's kind of weird that they did that, but I think it in the long run ended up being a good move because of the path that Shia LaBeouf ended up taking and some of the things that followed. I think that ended up being the right move for them. Question number 3. Who was the name of the Stevens neighbor who would come over from time to time? Well, that would be Bernard Arguin, also known as Beans. If you had just said Beans, you get the point there. He is the one that would come over. That's also one of the same actors from Cheaper by the Dozen as well. So if you're like, oh, he looked familiar, he's also in Cheaper by the Dozen and a couple other movies here and there after that. Question number 4. What were the names of Louis Stevens' best friends? Well, that would be Alan Tweedy and Tawny Dean. Now, they would oftentimes just shorten Alan Tweedy's name to just Tweedy, but Those were his two best friends. Question number 5. What Glee actress, known for portraying Santana Lopez, appeared in one episode in season 3? Well, that would be Naya Rivera. Now, one of my favorite things to do with a show like this that's been off the air for a long time is to go back and kind of look through some of the actors and actresses that have been on the show, whether it was like a first time on a show, whether it was someone who was kind of up and coming that's bigger now. Naya Rivera was one of them. She kind of used this to kind of springboard her into a couple other roles that eventually landed her on Glee. And then last but not least, question number 6. In season 1, what comedian did Lewis Stevens have as an album in his room? Well, he had Richard Pryor. Now, after season 1, they decided, Richard Pryor may not be the best option for an album here, so they switched it to a more family-friendly choice of Bill Cosby. So it's funny how everything works out in time and that sort of stuff. But if you look carefully in the background of season 1 in Lewis Stevenson's room, you will see a Richard Pryor album. When you see it in season 2 and season 3, you will see a Bill Cosby. What a great show. I'm glad that it was on. Rather have it than not have it. So I'm glad that it was on. Hopefully you enjoyed that round as well. Continuing on now, we are going to move into round number 2, and round number 2 is our Fast Facts round. For this round, I will have simple questions that have simple answers. For this round today, we are going to talk about who owns Marvel characters. For this round, I'm simply going to name a Marvel character. You just have to tell me who officially owns them, Disney or Fox. So for example, if I were to say Thor, you would say Disney, because Disney currently has the rights to Thor. Now, technically Disney does own all of them, but there are separate Fox owned entities and separate Disney owned, and now they're starting to kind of bring them together, which is a good thing. It's created some good stories so far, but originally one of the reasons why Disney bought Fox is to get some of those Marvel characters. So let's get started with question number 1. Iron Man. Question number 2, Wolverine. Question number 3, Deadpool. Question number 4, Black Widow. Question number 5, Silver Surfer. And question number 6, Professor X. Now again, some iconic names here, and some of them have already gotten their movie. Some of them are going to get a movie. Some of them, had a movie with Fox, but now they're going to get one with Disney and everything else like that. So let's get started with question number 1. Iron Man. That is, of course, the movie that kind of sparked the most recent MCU wave. That would be Disney. And obviously, Robert Downey Jr. did a great job, revolutionized Marvel, and again, made it to what it is today, or at least helped make it to what it is today. Question number 2. Wolverine. Technically owned by Fox. It was originally owned by Fox. So Wolverine has come over now to Disney. There you've seen some crossover between him and kind of the guy that plays the next one, which leads us into question number 3. Deadpool. That is, of course, also Fox. They originally owned Deadpool as well. Again, there's some crossover. If you are an NFL fan like myself, if you're a Taylor Swift fan like my wife, you know that 2 weeks ago when the Chiefs played the Jets, that in the box with Taylor Swift was Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. So yeah, they're still trying to figure things out there. They've had some fun with that as well. So hopefully we get something here really soon. Question number 4, Black Widow. That is, of course, Disney. That is, of course, Scarlett Johansson. That is one of the main parts of the current MCU universe. Excited to see. The Black Widow was a very good movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Gave her a good backstory. So cool to see her, and I'm glad that they developed that character a little bit more as well. Question number 5, Silver Surfer. That one is owned by Fox. Now, it's interesting because in Age of Ultron, I thought that Silver Surfer was the twin, the really fast one. I think I was wrong. I think that might have been Flash or something like that. But They never necessarily gave him a name, so I thought that was supposed to be Silver Surfer, but I guess technically Silver Surfer is owned by Fox. I don't, that, we're starting to get deeper than my Marvel knowledge there, but still technically Silver Surfer owned by Fox. Last but not least, question number 6, Professor X. We talked about Wolverine earlier. Of course, if you got Wolverine, then you know this one is Fox as well. Professor X, creator of the X-Men. We did see him in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, he's technically owned by Fox, but again, this is an example of Disney merging the Fox characters and getting onto that next chapter of Marvel, and that's something that I am super excited about. Continuing on now into round number 3, and round number 3 is our Connecting the Circles round. The way that this round works is I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and these questions may or may not be Disney related, but the answers do relate to each other in some way through Disney. And that's going to be your 6th question, is what is the connection? So let's get started with question number 1. How many legs are there on a typical dog, cat, and elephant? Question number 2. How many days are usually associated with a work week? Question number 3. How many points are scored when someone scores a touchdown in football? Question number 4. According to Three Dog Night, what number is the loneliest number? Question number 5. How many peninsulas is the state of Michigan made up of? And question number 6 is what is the connection between those answers? Some of them I know are very basic. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense, especially when you come up with those answers. I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with that connection, and then I will return. All right, let's get you some answers here and let's see if we can make that connection. All right, so question number 1. How many legs are there on a typical dog, cat, and elephant? Well, that is, of course, 4. Each animal there has 4 legs, so the correct answer there is 4. Question number 2. How many days are usually associated with a work week? Well, that is, of course, 5. You got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That is a 5-day work week. That's pretty typical here in the United States. Question number 3. How many points are scored when someone scores a touchdown in football? That is 6. Technically, whenever a touchdown is scored, it's worth 6 points. After that, you have the option to go for 1 or 2. Most of the time, they go for 1. So if you said 7, I'll give you a pass. At least you were close. Question number 4. According to Three Dog Night, what number is the loneliest number? That would be the number 1, because 1 is the loneliest number. And that, that's apparently true, but 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since the number 1. So, take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But the correct answer there is 1 is the loneliest number. And then question number 5. How many peninsulas is the state of Michigan made up of? It is made up of 2 peninsulas. And we are creative. We call one the upper. We call the other one the lower. And, you have upper peninsula, lower peninsula. Right now in the upper peninsula, it is snowing. So I am glad I'm in the lower peninsula. That works out well for me as well. All right, so we had answers such as 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2. Well, that is, of course, the order of Star Wars episodes released. You start out with Star Wars Episode 4, then you go to Star Wars 5, you got then 6, and then it jumps all the way back to 1, then 2, and then, of course, we've had everything that's followed since then. But that is the order in which Star Wars movies were released. Again, some basic questions there. Hopefully you were able to make that connection and connect those circles there. Hopefully you had a little bit of fun with that one as well. Continuing on now into round number 4, and as mentioned last week, we didn't do movie anniversaries last week because we were so focused on the parks, but there were a couple of good movies in which we could talk about. So this week, there were no real good movie anniversaries, so we're going to revert back to one from last week. So today, we are going to talk about the movie Cool Runnings. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. It is a sports movie, so that might have something to do with it, but I also have some deep memories of watching this movie on the Disney Channel, so that might play a factor as well. But all these questions have to do with the movie Cool Runnings. So let's get started with question number 1. What country's bobsled team is the story of Cool Runnings about? Question number 2. What Olympics did the true story take place? Question number 3. What Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Home Alone actor played Coach Irv in Cool Runnings? Question number 4. What 3-word phrase, usually asked by Doris Bannock, is among the most quoted lines from Cool Runnings? Question number 5. A movie starring a Greatest Showman actor and a Rocket Man actor came out of these same Olympic Games. Name that movie. And question number 6. What famous composer, known for his work in movies such as Gladiator, Dune, Dunkirk, and The Simpsons, provided the music for Cool Runnings? Alright, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music. If you want to pause now and go watch the movie, highly recommend it. Otherwise, you can wait till after and then watch the movie. Either way, I'm going to come back with the answers after a little bit of music. All right, let's get you some answers here on Cool Runnings. So question number 1. What country's bobsled team is the story of Cool Runnings about? That would be Jamaica. Obviously, a Jamaican bobsled team. That is very rare. It has come out. They have come to a couple other games since then, but Jamaica, known more for their Summer Olympic sprinters as opposed to their bobsledders, which leads us into question number 2. What Olympics did the true story take place? Well, that would be the 1988 Winter Olympics. Now, we're going to tie that in with a question here in a little bit, but there's also a Bob Iger tie-in with all of this as well. We'll cover that here in just a little bit. I had a mild freak out when I read this connection here. Question number 3. What Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Home Alone actor played Coach Irv in Cool Runnings? Well, that would be John Candy. This was the last movie that John Candy actually saw before his death. It's one of the last movies he did before he passed away. So it's kind of cool to see him, and he is just brilliant in this movie. Typical John Candy form. Question number 4. What 3-word phrase, usually asked by Doris Bannock, is among the most quoted lines from Cool Runnings? And that is, Senka, you dead? And that is, they ask that probably 2-3 times throughout the movie. It's a funny line. There is one time in which it's asked and it kind of turns, but is one of the most quotable lines. That's where, if you've ever heard that line, Senka, you dead, that's usually where it comes from, is from the movie Cool Runnings. Question number 5. A movie starring a Greatest Showman actor and a Rocket Man actor came out of the same Olympics. Name that movie. That would be Eddie the Eagle. That is obviously not a Disney movie, but some good names that are in that, and that came out of this same Olympics, the same 1988 Winter Olympics. Now, again, the connection there, if you didn't know, the Olympics at the time were on ABC. Now, Bob Iger was the one who directed and was in charge of producing the 1988 Olympics for all of the ABC networks here in the United States. And he mentions in his book about how bad the weather was. Now, it's bad in terms of it was unseasonably warm. So there were a lot of outdoor events that were flat out canceled. A lot of downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, that sort of stuff. But they were able to find these two magnificent stories out of this Olympics between the 1988 Jamaican bobsled team and then, of course, Eddie the Eagle. If you have not seen Eddie the Eagle, it's about a English man who wants to become a long jumper, and there's just not a lot of long jumpers that come out of England, and how he did it and his story, everything else like that. He didn't win a medal, but it's still, his story is one that is really, really cool. Last but not least, question number 6. What famous composer known for his work in movies such as Gladiator, Dune, Dunkirk, and of course The Simpsons provided the music for Cool Runnings? That would be Hans Zimmer. He is a legendary composer. He's one of my favorite composers. At least once a month or so, I'll pop on his Pandora station. Yes, I still listen to Pandora, but his music is just phenomenal. If you're like, I have no idea, that's those 4, the Dune, Dunkirk, Gladiator, and The Simpsons, that's just a short list. His movie list is amazing. But again, a great movie. It's on Disney Plus. If you have the opportunity to watch Cool Runnings, I highly recommend it. It's very good and one of my all-time favorite movies. All right, let's move on into our last round. And this round this week is called Disney Taglines. For this round, what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a Disney tagline. You just have to simply tell me what movie is that tagline from. Now, taglines used to be a bigger deal. It used to be a more renowned thing. It used to be like on the posters. It used to be every time you heard an advertisement for this movie, you knew what movie they were going to talk about, and this was the tagline that was associated with it. It's coming out of fashion a little bit. There's still some movies that have that, but we're going to have a little bit of fun with this and some fun taglines. So let's get started with question number 1. The greatest adventure of all is finding our place in the circle of life. Question number 2. Awaken to a world of wonders. Question number 3. Get with the cats who know where it's at. Question number 4. The celebration of a lifetime. Question number 5. Catch the bug. And question number 6. Just like magic and just for fun. All right, I'm going to give you some music and then we will return and wrap up today's game. All right, let's get you some answers here. Let's wrap up today's game and let's have a little bit of fun with this as well. So question number 1. The greatest adventure of all is finding our place in the circle of life. Hopefully those last 3 words, the circle of life, gave that answer to you. That is The Lion King. And that was oftentimes when you were watching the promo, this was one of the last lines that was said in that promo. Question number 2. Awaken to a world of wonders. We're talking, the keyword there is awaken. That is, of course, Sleeping Beauty. Now, I did find it odd when I was doing some research on this topic. I found that some older movies, they had multiple of them. So I tried to pick ones that seemed to go part and parcel with their movies a little bit better. This is an example of one of those. Question number 3. Get with the cats who know where it's at. That is the Aristocats. Again, there were multiples on that one. I figured this one was the one that could kind of spark that of the whole get with the cats. That cat, the words. Oh, that's the Aristocats. That is also, from the song as well. Question number 4. The celebration of a lifetime. This one is a newer one, but this one is Coco. Now, obviously, we've heard that phrase before, the celebration of a lifetime, but to tie it into Coco, that seems to make a little bit more sense as well. Question number 5. Catch the bug. It's not A Bug's Life. This one might be for a little bit old school, but Herbie the Love Bug. That again makes sense. Herbie was a race car. Catch the bug. You gotta, again, makes a little sense there. Kind of a fun tagline as well. Last but not least, question number 5. Just like magic and just for fun, we are of course talking about The Sword in the Stone. It's just like magic, and it's always just for fun. Another classic one, and again, another tagline that maybe if you thought about it a little bit, you're like, yeah, that kind of makes some sense. That kind of fits that movie perfectly as well. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in this week. If you love the show, make sure you come back every single Thursday. I always have more Disney trivia, more Disney fun. If you are listening to us on Apple, make sure that you select to follow us. When you select follow us, you select to automatically download. If Apple isn't your thing, make sure you're following us wherever else you can. If you are watching us here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on that bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what your score is. If you're listening to us, let us know what your score is as a review, and make sure you give us a 5-star review with that score as well. Make sure you're following us on our social media at Mouse in the Mitten on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and of course here on YouTube as well. And hey, again, if you want your Disney vacation to go from just good to absolutely amazing, feel free to email me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. Would love to get you set up. Would love to get this trip taken care of and make it the most magical trip that it absolutely can be. Well, hey, my name's Court. The dog's name is Milo. I appreciate you tuning in this week, and I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next time.